Hi, everyone. Welcome to the sixth session of the Open Buildings Designer live series. This is our first session for 2022. Wish you all the best for all your plans in this year. I'm Meenakshi, your host for today's session. For the benefit of those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is a series of LinkedIn live sessions introducing features of Open Buildings Designer. Open Buildings Designer is Bentley's complete design and BIM tool for architecture, structural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical design. You can download your 21-day free trial by scanning the QR code in the top right corner of the window. There will be tips and tricks, user case studies along with it to ensure you gain the most during your trial period. So that's me. I'm the sales engineer for Open Buildings Designer. I'm based out of Singapore and I've worked in the AEC industry for more than a decade. Joining me is our main presenter, Kasia, based out of Poland, and our backup presenter, Andrian, based out of Singapore. Kasia, I'll let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello everyone, my name is Kasia. I'm based in Krakow and I'm responsible for Open Buildings Designer. I also work for Italian market and yeah, you can probably meet me in other webinars or coffee corners. Thank you.
Thanks. Andrian, do you want to introduce yourself? You're on mute, I think, Andrian.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
No,
Good day.
no.
Good day, everyone. Adrian Sandoval, consultant in Bentley System as well. So I focus on Open Buildings Designer, which is previously known as Ecosim Building Designer. So I do hope everyone enjoy and learn more information about open buildings in today's session. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thanks. So Andrian will also be able to help us answer some questions and comments posted over LinkedIn today. So please go ahead and put in your questions in the comments section. And here are our email IDs. Feel free to email us should you have any questions for us. And you see a QR code on the top right corner of the window, but in case you have trouble scanning the smaller one, here's a larger version. Scan to download your free trial. Like I mentioned, you will receive assistance over email to use the trial effectively. And just a disclaimer, if you're attending this session over LinkedIn Live, do know that the resolution depends on the bandwidth and quality of your internet connection. So some tips: connect via the Ethernet cable. It will give you the best quality of the connection. Do close down any other applications that use up too much bandwidth. The best resolution is achieved when you're not multitasking and switching between windows while watching the session. And just in case you still don't have a good internet connection, the recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. That's the link for our YouTube channel. Our previous 5 sessions and the roundtable discussion are available on the Open Buildings Designer YouTube channel. That's the link for the YouTube channel again, and we can post the link in the comments as well. So let me open with a discussion on OpenBIM. If you've attended our roundtable discussion, you're kind of familiar with the Open Buildings Designers' take and participation in the OpenBIM concept. And Kasia can later share how Open Buildings supports the concept of OpenBIM. For a typical building or infrastructure project, there are many stakeholders and many disciplines. Designers of the same and different disciplines, we work with each other using so many different applications at different project stages. They collaborate in internal and external teams more and more often remotely now. This fragmentation and lack of the standard file formats for exchange of information, it costs the building and construction industry billions of dollars in lost productivity, wasted materials, and increased liability for missing information. So hence the concept of OpenBIM and interoperability, where data can be fed, shared, and utilized using vendor-neutral file formats. The most common being IFC and COBie, and Kasia can explain what these mean. And moving forward, support this, Bentley in 2018 rebranded a lot of its solutions under the Open portfolio. As you may be aware, Bentley has a suite of applications very specialized for different disciplines and project type. The names speak for themselves, like Open Site is for site development used by civil engineers, Open Bridge is for bridge design, and for architects and building engineers, there's Open Building Designer that was previously called Ecosim. So all these applications are based on microstation technology and they collectively support the collaboration by connecting the workflows across disciplines and sharing the digital components. So open stands for open to multiple disciplines, multiple stakeholders at different stages of the project life cycle, and open to collaborative digital workflows by accomplishing multidiscipline uh, deliverables and even clash resolution. So, having said that, let's see how Open Buildings Designer supports OpenBIM and interoperability for projects of all scales. And this is what Kashia will cover in today's session. So, Kashia, I'm just going to start by asking you, like, does Open Buildings Designer allow an architect to work with other disciplines seamlessly? And what if the stakeholders are using third-party applications? How does Open Buildings plug in?
So first, yes, using Open Buildings Designer in our design workflow, we can work with other disciplines seamlessly and also cooperate with well with other designers that use third-party applications. So let's start with that. And the software is developed to ensure advantages of both the interoperability with external applications and informations. I think you can show my slide, maybe you can push it
Sure.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a nice
Okay.
graphics here. So we have both this interoperability with external applications and information exchange within Bentley system software. So it supports information exchange through formats such as IFC, COBie, BCF, that's for interoperability, and parallelly, it also enables users to publish information in Bentley common modeling and connected data environment that you mentioned, letting the user easily exchange project data between different disciplines. So that's within Bentley system software, and I will now showing again the diagram that you showed. So as you mentioned, it supports the concept of OpenBIM. It is the concept created by Building Smart organization. OpenBIM encourages other organizations to develop innovative applications, workflows, and processes that promote interoperability. So it permits digital workflow space on formats such as IFC. As we mentioned, we can see other formats listed here. And it is what Open Buildings does. We are certified by Building Smart. We can call Open Buildings interoperable, and it leads to better collaboration among stakeholders, enables access to data for better management of assets, and it provides long-term strategy for build assets through accessible digital twins. So that was for interoperability. And you also explained a bit about information exchange with open applications, but let me just tell a bit more. So here we can see better the common modeling and connected data environments that we mentioned. What they mean is that Bentley Systems offers superior information exchange capabilities amongst its application for for design and project delivery. So, as Vanakshi said, all applications are based on one platform, which is MicroStation, and thanks to that, we can work on common file formats in different disciplines and also read and write information to many other formats. So, summing up, we are supported both in collaboration with other disciplines, designer working in Bentley software, but also designers working on third-party applications, and we can take advantage of formats like IFC, COBie, BCF. So we will focus a little bit more on IFC and COBie today.
Okay. Yeah.
So as you mentioned, I would say a bit about what IFC and COBie are. So IFC, Industry Foundation Classes, is a standardized digital description of the built assets industry, and it is an open international standard format that encapsulates our project with their geometry and intelligence. It can be exported from design applications and can be reviewed in IFC viewer applications. So what once my colleague explained to me, it's like a PDF, but for our BIM models. So we save, as I mentioned, both geometry and all the intelligent data saved into the project. So that was for IFC, and I will show later how we export, how we work on IFC in OpenBuildings Designer, and I will show it on using this train station model. And COBie, it stands for Construction Operations Building Information Exchange. It is a format that contains as-built information for facilities management and handover. It contains product data like materials, special assignment, manufacturer name, identification number for the elements, and other properties as per requirement for the and it is in a format of a spreadsheet with all the data. So these were the definitions, and let's see how it works in our workflow. In our design and open buildings designer. So here is a master model of a train station, and I will now explain how to first of all start with our work set. So as you know, or maybe not, in Open Buildings Designer, for every project we have a different work set, which is basically a folder containing all the files for the project and also all the um, configuration files and other setting files with our standards and so on. So um, by default, our project and our work sets are not extended with IFC settings, so it is not prepared for the export, and it is to save size, make the files smaller, save the information. Only if we want to do it, if we plan to do it, we can do it later, or also in the beginning if we plan and if we know that we will need it in the future. So what we have to do is we need to change the configuration variable of our work set, and we can do it by going to the correct folder of our train station project. And we can do it in Open Buildings Designer by just right clicking and opening folder in File Explorer. I can now see that I'm in Designs folder for the train station. And if I go to Levels Up, I land in my work set folder. This is a folder where I have all my design folders. And together with all the folders, we also have configuration files. So I will go to the train station configuration file. And at the very end of this file, I'll just scroll down, we can see there is the IFC workset variable. And just above there, we have description of what we need to do to achieve different extensions for the project. So by default, we have IFC workset variable set as 0. So the dataset is not extended with IFC properties, and we don't have too many information in our files. But if we want to export IFC file or COBie spreadsheet, we can change the variable to 1 or 2, and 2 stands for IFC together with handover COBie properties. So in my train station, it is already set to 2, and if I just modified it, of course, I would have to close the file and save the settings, and then restart OpenBuildings just to be sure that all the data was updated. And after coming back to the file, we will then, if it is an existing project, we would have our elements not extended, our existing elements that were already placed in the model. We would have to upgrade them to also contain that properties for the IFC and COBie. So what we will have to do is go to the backstage and to utilities, where we can use the schema upgrade utility tool. So for the existing project, we would choose that option, and then we would upgrade the model. And as this train station model is made of, we have different reference file attached. So here we can mention our federated approach. Um, we model different disciplines separately, or we can model different floors of the building separately. Federated approaches, of course, it depends on our of what we prefer. And in this case, it was split it into structure, into site, roof, and architectural models. So having them, I would choose the upgrade all references option, and then just hit OK, and it would get upgraded. But in this case, I have already upgraded the file, and you can now see if I hit on properties of the element, it is loading. I will see there, if I scroll down, that I already have some properties added in the window of the properties, and it will be the same for the new elements that we want to place. So some general properties and information about geometry. And if I scroll down, we can see property sets, manufacturer type information, and property sets for beam common, as this is a beam. So some properties were already added, and if I want to place a new element, I can see the property panel for just an example wall, and also here I can see that the property sets are here. And if I want to add some information to be then visible in IFC file after the export, I need to type it in and add anything, any intelligent data that is needed. So after having enabled and upgraded the IFC, the WorkSet project, we can now move to the IFC export itself. So we can find it in export tools here in the second tab, which is exchange file types, and we can see industry foundation classes format here. And if we hit on that, we can see the IFC export dialog. And here we have some settings, the model view definitions available here. We have some different types. There is the IFC 2 per 3 and IFC 4, which is the newer one. We also have some technology preview, or if we need IFC 4 with NURBS, which is B-spline surfaces, so it will all will seem smoother, and the geometry will be a little bit better, but this is for some more complicated geometry. And I will move later to COBie, so I'll show later. We will then use this IFC 2 per 3 facilities management handover, which is COBie. So we will choose it later. So for now, I'll just stay with the IFC 2 per 3. We then have some options to optimize our IFC file. That stands for the file size and so on. We can also do it later if we don't do it at the moment because we have the optimizer tool. I will also mention it later. We can also zip our IFC file, and we can set the facet tolerance, and then I can move to the mapping options. So if we have here let's explain how the export works. So apart from exporting the geometry itself, of course, we have to export all the information that this geometry contains. So in OpenBuildings, we have data groups, and inside we have types and items. That's how we divide different types of the objects. So All the objects that we have in OpenBuildings that are default for the program, that are mapped automatically to respectful IFC classes and types. So that's how it later appears in IFC viewers for users of any other application. They just need this IFC viewer, so there they will be able to see all the information um, as this IFC class and type, and also properties, and I will show it in a moment. So that's how it works. It gets assigned automatically, but if we have any custom objects with some custom types and properties, we would have to map it ourselves. So we would just need to select for the element on the left. We would just double click as I just did, and select a respectful uh, class and type for the IFC on the right. So that would be that, but in this model we don't have any custom properties, no need to map them. And then we have a separate section for property mapping. Again, here we could map some data group properties, custom ones if we had to. So this was the first level mapping. And then for the secondary mapping, we have family and parts mapping. So again, we could just map some custom family and parts to IFC entities, which is the lower category under the um, uh, classes for IFC. So this was for the mapping options, and then spatial structure. We can, in OpenBuildings, we work often using the floor selector, which we can see here in floor managers. We set our floors here with all the heights, and then we assign all the objects to respectful floors by placing them, choosing the right floor. And the assignment for IFC files work based on that floor manager. So by default, it can choose for us, the software will choose for us the best fit according to floor selector. So it already assigned the station roof and station structure models to IFC, in IFC file for the floor 4. And for example, the station structure, the roof is for the floor 4, but the station structure is on the floor 1. But if we want, we can also change this assignment type to by element elevation. So we could not base on the floor manager, but on the just the element elevation from the 0 point. So this is for the assigning models to spatial containment. I will leave it like that with the best fits assigned, and then I would hit OK and hit the export for this model. But just for the purpose of this webinar, I will just show the ready export here, just to save some time. Depending, of course, on the size of the file, it will take more or less time to export it. For this model, it was not that long, but just to be sure that we don't waste time on the process. So just showing again the how to reach the IFC export dialog, and we can see the IFC file being exported. Bentley IFC optimizer is launched by it's launched automatically because it was selected in the dialog, and that's it. The file is exported, and we can then move to our IFC folder. So I'm in my train station work set, and the IFC file got saved in the output folder, in the IFC subfolder, and I can now check the station master IFC in any of the IFC viewers. The file is loaded, and I will soon show it. So here we have our ready IFC file. So we can see both the geometry of the building and all the IFC elements information on the right. So it doesn't matter if someone who we want to see our project has any BIM tool for modeling, they don't need to have it. So for example, not designers, but other stakeholders, other people involved in project can see it this way as a PDF in this IFC file. So we can review all the model, we can see all the geometry, what we can walk through the model, we can see the elements and all the information about the project itself and the building, the separate floors here, and we can see what elements belong to each floor. So we can see here on this floor 4, we have some elements like slabs, for example, and I can double click on any of them and it will get zoomed in to that element. Let me select other one with double click. It's selected plasterboard that is somewhere there in another room. Let's just go to doors and I will zoom into double door inside the project, and as it is selected we can also see the properties available here, of course depending on what was added during the modeling. Here we have some COBie specification, we have information about materials and about the dimensions, so everything is here if it was added in during the modeling process, and some information about location and classification if there is any data added. So we have information also about the layers and about the location inside the project, and that it is assigned to floor 2. So this is how the IFC export looks like, and it is if we want to export our project to IFC and share it with others. But what if we get IFC from other designers? Then we can also reference that IFC file into our master model. So just like other references that we have here, we can reference already IFC, for example, from a mechanical designer. So I will attach a reference, and I can add the station HVAC IFC file that I got before from a mechanical designer. I can just hit open and wait for the IFC file to get attached. So as IFC file purpose is to share ready files between designers and between other stakeholders, as we say, it should be ready file, so we don't consider the file as format to work on. So that's why we assume that the project is finished for the IFC file, and that we can just simply share it, reference it into our master model. So I just attached the reference. I just had some settings there. I used the default settings, and you can see that now I have it listed here. And To see it better, we can switch off other references. I would just switch off the display using the settings here, and I will leave just the HVAC model. Let's also switch off the roof, and we can see the IFC model appearing like just any other model in our master file. And now let's see, we can see the geometry, of course. We can see the information about the level and that it is assigned to IFC file. But now let's see the information contained in this model. So to see that, I will switch on the Explorer dialog, which you can find here in the Common Tools section. And then in the items file, I will be able to see the properties of them and also select them one by one and have them selected also inside the 3D model. So here's the Explorer, and in the items tab, we have all the objects in the model listed, and you can also see the IFC elements here. So I will expand the one of them, for example, the IFC flow fitting, and let me select centric reducer. I double click, and you can see that all the centric reducers got highlighted inside the model, and I can hit on properties with the right click, and they will be opened in the properties dialog, and I can see all the properties added if there are any data specified. So here we have information that it is a centric register, and also later other property sets, application properties. So here we have information about the insulation material, if there is any lining material, and what's the material for the element, the centric register itself. So you can see it's galvanized. And if there was anything more, we could also see it here. We can expand other properties here. So of course it depends on what mechanical designer is and what kind of information he specifies in his models. So as we can see, we can import the IFC files into OpenBuildings Designer, and we can do that through references dialog and have it in our master model together with other disciplines. And also we can do that through iTwin. We now have the collaboration tab in our newest updates of OpenBuildings. So we would just associate our project to WorkSet. We would associate it here, and then we could use the sync to iTwin, and we could create a collaboration and then attach the iTwin through the this collaboration tab. So we could also do it here, and that's for the IFC files. That would be that, and I think I can now move to COBie files. So to do that, I will move to other project. So I will close this train station project, and I will move to the Farnsworth House model that you know from the first live session or from our YouTube tutorial, the onboarding guide. So you can see it there. You can also model yourself and then also test the IFC and COBie export. So I'll open the master model for this Farnsworth House model, and then use the IFC and COBie export dialog to export the spreadsheet. So here is the master model where we previously modeled some spaces. So all the, let's maybe see it here. We have on the upper terrace, we have some furniture there, some different spaces for the wall area for the of the building. And we can see there is a dining room. There is some core with bathrooms and mechanical core, and there is a kitchen, living room. And why I mentioned that is because COBie files are also based on those spaces. So spatial structure of the model is also important because the objects that are placed inside COBie are assigned to those spaces. So, and it is also important for the COBie purpose itself. So we don't only have the information about the elements and their warranties and dimensions and any information that we would need later in the asset lifecycle, but also about the where they are located and so on. So this is the master file, and again, to export both the IFC and COBie, we would first need to enable the workset itself. So again, I would go to the project folder and move to the worksets, and again check the configuration file for the Farnsworth House workset, and scroll down and make sure that it is extended with the uh, property set. So the IFC workset value is variable value is changed from 0 to 2, so I am able to see and then export the IFC information from this model. So just like for the train station, the model was the workset was enabled and also upgraded with the data utility schema upgrade. So again, it was already upgraded, and we can, just to show again any dialog with the properties for the elements. Let's see the wall, and if we scroll down, there is the property sets wall common for this object, so we know that the data set is extended. And we can now move to the export section on at the backstage, and to the exchange file types and to IFC. So here, as I mentioned, we would choose now this IFC to free facilities management handover, and select the options to create COBie spreadsheet and then open it. And together with this COBie, we will have the IFC file exported as well. Same options for the mapping and spatial structure that we can now skip because we don't have any custom elements. And there's also an author section here, and if you want to specify some information about the IFC author and the organization that is responsible for that, we can do it here, and then it will appear in our IFC and COBie files. So after having everything set, again we can hit export, and I also exported this IFC for the purpose of the webinar before, so I can move to the Farnsworth House workset folder, and again the IFC file and COBie get saved in the IFC folder. So here is both my combined model for the Farnsworth House for the IFC. So let's just quickly review that. I have it here. So here we have our building with, again, all the information, and also the COBie spreadsheet here. So let's be open. It can be opened in an Excel software, and we can now see different tabs at the bottom. And depending on the building itself and the information that we shared, we can see everything here. So the contact information, so it was the second tab that I showed, with the address, with the emails, and any other information that we need. Information about the facility itself, so the name of the project, and again, general units, for example, and then the floors tab. So maybe you can now ask why we have one floor here if we have two terraces there. It's because in COBie we have information about the floors that contain the elements, the COBie elements that we're interested in. So in this case, all the elements are placed on the upper terrace, all the living rooms and all the elements there are only on that floor. And then another tab is space section. So here we have information about the spaces and about where they're located, so the floor name. So of course for example, skyscraper, that this would be much longer list and more complicated with the spatial assignment here, and some descriptions and areas here, and the height of the room. We can see everything here, and then for the types, here we have all the elements that are placed in those spaces shown in the other section. So we have sinks, we have doors, and all the information can be found here if it was specified during the creation. So we can also specify the color, the finish type, and also information about the warranties, and with some identifiers so that we can use it later also during the assets life cycle. So that's for the COBie spreadsheet. It's also worth mentioning that we can also make use of the Excel Exchange utility that is available in OpenBuildings Designer, and update the attributes of the building elements, and then push the data back to the model and updating the model. So we would have the model updated from the spreadsheet. It can be any information about the product performance and maintenance of all the assets that need to be maintained. So, as mentioned, we can add some, of course, information also during the life cycle. So that would be useful. That's Excel Exchange utility. So that would be that for the IFC and COBie export. So that was the workflow. And then I can move back to this PowerPoint, and this was already shown, so I can now show some more options and best practice tips for the IFC and COBie export. So as I mentioned, we have IFC utilities. I mentioned we have this Bentley IFC optimizer tool, but we also have this IFC transformation utility. It is used for transformation. That means creating COBie spreadsheets from existing IFC files. So you can select the COBie template spreadsheet and also select IFC entities that should be excluded from the spreadsheet that you're not interested in, and then just convert it and have the COBie exported. So that's the first one. The second one is IFC optimization utility. So it is for optimizing, so to reduce the IFC file size based on user-defined compression settings. And this option can be selected in the IFC export dialog, as I mentioned. And then another option, IFC log viewer utility, is used to view the log file information saved every time during the export of the IFC files. So you can check the potential warnings or errors if there are any during the export process. And apart from some standard settings, we have configuration variables. So you could customize settings, for example, for the where the IFC file should be saved after the export, or about the name of the IFC file. So you can do it here with the configuration variables. And this is for the general options. And now some best practice tips. They can be used. It's really worth knowing them, because you can decide on what you want to export to the final IFC file. So let's start with this design elements being placed in solid working area. So it is important that the elements are placed within the borders of the solid working area. It is this cube where where we always recommend to place all the building. Um, and then if we export the IFC file, we can be sure that if it's within the safe boundary, it should be exported well, and it shouldn't be avoided by missed by the software. Then the second tip, before exporting to IFC, we need to ensure that all the building elements have the correct data group catalog or familiar part information attached, because elements without this information may be exported as building proxy elements with limited attribution. So it is about this data being exported well and assigned then correctly to the correct classes for the IFC. Then some best practice for the level display for the IFC export, because if we turn off the global display of elements, it will eliminate them from the export. So if we exclude certain levels, it will not be exported. So if we want to exclude some certain elements, it will be the fastest way to do it. So just switching off the display for the level in the level manager. So for example, here we have the stair turned off, and then we can not see it in the ready IFC. Another method for excluding elements from the export is making a selection set, and only selected elements will be exported to the IFC file. If none of the elements are selected, then all the objects get exported. And then if we use a clip volume tool, so it's this utility that makes the effect that you can see on the left. So if you cut the building with the clip volume to see the section of it during the modeling, please remember that it will not be exported. It will be exported as a wall building. So to apply such section clips for the IFC, you can do it inside the IFC viewer after the export of the model. And then some tip, just a reminder for the IFC, for the people who want to export the IFC for electrical discipline, so for electrical designers. Please remember to define the appropriate IFC entity type when creating custom library elements using this electrical symbol manager. Um, so that's all for the best practice for the additional options of the for the IFC exports. And yeah, so that's it. And
Do you want to go over some of the other formats, Kashia?
yes, so in this PPT, I also have the part about working with other formats. So we mentioned BCF, uh, which is combined with project-wise issue resolution services. So OpenBuildings supports coordination workflows involving those BCF files. So issues that we find in our models can be created, commented, tracked, viewed, and shared and managed centrally using this issue resolution service. So there we can have those issues exported as BCF files, as you can see here from the issues resolution part section in the project wise. And then we also have the iModel. All the Bentley design application supports higher level of information exchange through these iModels. We can publish them with the highest quality and exchange information with other stakeholders during all stages of the project. So creating the assets digital twins. So iModels, and also there is this integrated building simulation. So the application supports information exchange for building energy analysis and performance simulation. The software models can be opened directly in OpenBuildings Energy Simulator, and simulations based on the ASHRAE or COBie standards can be run directly on your desktop without need to share any process information externally. And then GBXML files. So OpenBuildings Energy Simulator has the capabilities to import and export GBXML files. So it allows exchanging energy analysis information with other applications. And also integrated structural modeling, known as ISM. OpenBuildings Designer supports also this ISM workflow. It is a file format where structural products can write to and read from, enabling multi-product workflows, tracking design changes and different applications, and synchronizing revisions. It is Bentley standard for the interoperability for the structural discipline. And here I can also mention that in the newest updates of OpenBuildings, we have um, integration of structural elements. So the interoperability, the information exchange between OpenBuildings Designer and structural software is even easier than before, because we already have the types, the element types used in OpenBuildings. They work on the same in the same way as in ProStructures. So also here we have this better information exchange. So that's it. And also mentioning the newest updates and some improvements. We also await some great IFC improvements in now update 9 that will be released soon. So I can mention that there will be some improvements in constructive geometry. So tapered members, structural elements, or microstation primitives will contain more information about the entities. There will be also some improvements in representation symbology for the IFC files, and new compound slab supports, IFC NURBS, that is B-spline surfaces, will now be fully implemented. A lot of great improvements. Also, curtain walls decomposition. So exporting internal structure of curtain walls with all the details about materials, geometry, and so on. So it will be released soon. So looking forward to that and recommending to update your um, software to the newest updates, of course.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Okay. Okay. Is that all,
Yeah,
Kashia? Okay.
that's all. So
Thank you. That was a lot of information, and you managed to cover it in that much time. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of the other stuff, and then we can take a few questions. So please put your questions in the comments section. Meanwhile, okay, there you go. Okay. So I'd like to direct everyone to some more high quality learning content for Open Buildings Designer. We have focused webinars, as you see in the list here. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have a YouTube channel dedicated to Open Buildings Designer with ever growing playlists. I think almost every second day we have some new video coming up there. So, and we cover a lot of disciplines, including structure, like what Kashia said. The newer update has structural modeling as well. So do check these out and subscribe to be notified of new content that's being posted. And yeah, let us know if you have any more questions. And I'm just going to look through some questions and get them started here. Okay. So Thomas just asked for the open building manual. Well, let us get back to you, Thomas, with the link. We let you know. And so that is the link here for the previous sessions, because somebody asked us to confirm if this will be on YouTube. That's that. And we also have a blog. So it's if you go to the LinkedIn event page, we do have a blog for today's discussion, and it's a good read. Just go through it. And somebody mentioned, I'm just going through the comments one by one. So Puna mentioned, is this an upgraded version of MicroStation? Yeah, it is based on the MicroStation platform, and over the years it has developed from Triforma to EcoSim to now Open Buildings Designer, going with the open theme of the way Bentley is supporting OpenBIM. So that's that. And yeah, somebody had a question about the ISM format, and I think we've answered that. So if we have no other questions, Kashia, I just want to ask you a few things. Um, so can the IFC files be edited in Open Buildings Designer?
and so, as mentioned, it's a format that it's supposed to be used as a ready material already created by designers. So it is not supposed to be edited. It is a ready project that is should be shared, reviewed, and it can be, of course, there is still the collaboration between the designers. We can share the information about the issues and so on, but it is the designer that should export the IFC and make sure that it is a ready project so that we can just make our master model with all the disciplines ready and just reference it in and be able to view all the information, be able to design our models in cooperation with that other discipline, but it is not supposed to be edited. So no, and it's a good question because sometimes our users are interested in this format and they don't know that this is the main purpose, that it shouldn't be edited. It is supposed to be complete discipline or master model, and it's just to be reviewed by other designers or by other stakeholders in the project.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. And why certain properties are not exported in IFC files?
So it's like a question from someone. So it's like if somebody notices that it's not that it's not in the project inside Open Buildings, it's there. Just please. Uh, also, it depends if you mean if they didn't get exported or you just cannot see them in the same place where you usually see them. So if you cannot see them, please make sure to check the Explorer. But also, it is possible that you missed some information when you were creating the model. So it is important to make sure that you don't leave any properties that you want to export null, because then they won't be exported. All the properties get exported if they contain some information. So that's important to remember about it. So they will be there. Just make sure that they contain the information, the data about this property.
Okay, great. Is there anything else? I don't think we have any other questions. Kasia, Andrian, anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think if there are any more questions, you can always let us know, and we will also after the webinar, and we can answer your questions or help you with open buildings also in other topics, not just the IFC export. So just please let us know. Hopeful. I hope it was helpful today
Okay.
with the
Yeah,
IFC.
very helpful. Yes. So, yeah, that's all we have. Thank you, Andrian, for answering all the comments. And I think
Welcome.
Beatrix helped and Alan helped. So thank you, ladies, for this. We are all ladies team, I realized today. Okay. And so that's all. We're just going to round up. And thank you so much for making time to join us today. And do join us for session 7 of the series on 16th of February, 3 p.m. Singapore time. And we'll update if there's anything else. And the session 7 will be talking about how Open Buildings Designer works with Bentley's digital twin solution for infrastructure, which is iTwin, and the collaboration tool ProjectWise 365. So that ties in nicely with the concept of OpenBIM. And hope to see you at session 7. And meanwhile, do try out the software using the QR code to download the 27-day trial of Open Buildings Designer. And we will post a link to the next event soon. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Kasia. Thank you, Andrian.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.